on the western edge of the Pacific. A wild, mysterious place of many faces. Papua New Guinea, where rugged terrain and isolation has allowed hundreds of ancient cultures to thrive. Each with their own fascinating and compelling traditions. From the remote highlands to pristine islands. Tribal life, a celebration of the unique sights, sounds, and rhythms of Papua New Guinea. New Guinea is the second largest island on Earth, exceeded only by Greenland. Politically, it is divided, the western half being comprised of 2 Indonesian provinces. The eastern half of the island forms mainland Papua New Guinea, a country made up of 4 regions. The Momase region, home to the mighty Sepik, the longest river in PNG. Water is one element that can't be escaped in this area. The landscape has been carved by it. The people have a natural affinity with it. For many, it is their lifeblood. The Madang Peninsula lends its name to the surrounding province and the capital. Madang City is a popular port for cruise ships. Sometimes, local cultural groups act as welcoming committees. Are from the Wai coast, southeast of the capital. Their headdresses represent birds in flight. This is a celebratory dance. The type that would be performed after a feast. Essentially, it's a party dance, giving a light-hearted introduction to the Momase way of life. Thanks to its deep harbour and offshore islands, Madang has been nicknamed the prettiest town in the Pacific. Its provincial capital, it boasts a population of more than 36,000. In the city centre lies Madang's marketplace, a busy commercial hub, where residents and tourists alike can browse the stands and enjoy the talents of local musicians. Many frequent the markets daily. Stallholders often travelling from the neighbouring Highlands province with fresh produce to sell, taking the opportunity to load up with goods from their coastal neighbours for their return journey at the end of the day. Handcrafted items from all around the Momase region are available, such as bird of paradise carvings, traditional kundu drums, plus pieces symbolic of the province to the north, crocodiles, which notoriously lurk the Sepik River. Contemporary works are also on display. These, created by members of the Kawagi family, highly regarded Papua New Guinean artists. The distinctive style Matthias Kawagi developed in the late 60s is carried on by his son, Winston.
That's his style, original style. Black and white, PNG color, a little bit of PNG color. This one is my own style, the modern style.
After visiting the markets, the crowds make their way home. Many travelling via longboat ferries. For some, the trip is short. Others get to enjoy a longer ride. During their journey, the conversations between passengers would be using some of the 200 languages that exist in this one linguistically diverse province. The fresh air, crystal clear water, and passing scenery make it an invigorating journey. From the salty depths of Madang Harbour to some natural springs, about 30 minutes drive south of town. These cool waters run through a secluded spot below the Barlek mountain range. This special area owned by 3 local clans. There is a subtle smell of sulphur in the air, emitted by the spring bubbling out from a limestone cave. Villagers have long known about the medicinal properties of this lagoon. It is also believed that spirits dwell here. They choose to share their aquatic haven with some local wildlife, such as freshwater turtles. Eels can also be found here. Above the waterline, swinging vines attract young local thrill seekers. The natural beauty of this spot has not gone unnoticed by the outside world. This gleaming oasis having been used as a film location. Nearby, the shores of the Bismarck Sea beckon. Cruising along Madang's coastline, it takes no time to realise it is dotted with islands. Not surprisingly, seafaring is second nature to local residents. About 45 kilometres south of the provincial capital lies the village of Bilbil, named after its traditional island home just offshore. Over a century ago, the growing village moved to the mainland for more space and to improve its trade prospects. These days, one of Bilbil's most valuable assets is its fascinating culture. In PNG, the majority of displays put on for travellers are purely for entertainment. The majority of customs are withheld, these revered secrets being only for tribe members to know and experience. While the dancers rest, these talented artisans have the chance to show off another lucrative commodity produced by the village. The women of Bilbil are renowned for their clay pots. These durable vessels have been traded for generations up and down the Madang coast. Special river stones called piti are used to work the clay. They are thought to magically drive evil spirits from it. Experienced hands mould, then gently beat the pots into shape using paddles. Apparently, it is an unwritten rule amongst the ladies that their clay pot-making skills may only be practiced here in Bilbil. It is considered taboo to do otherwise. Another requirement, tradition demands these cooking pots must be doused in pig's blood before their first use. Growing up in this culturally rich environment, these youngsters will gradually soak up the village's time-honoured customs. But for now, the beach is too tempting. Time to travel west, up into the mountains. The Bismarck Sea may be far off on the horizon, yet water remains a constant, even in this rugged landscape. The Gogol River slowly meanders its way down to the sea, fed by rainfall filtering through dense forests. One group that live near the banks of this river are the people of Hailiku. This style of dancing is usually seen during a feast, celebrating happy times. Their skin is stained red, using a natural plant dye. Their bilas, or body decorations, include ankle cuffs, made from what is known throughout Melanesia as bush string, beaten plant fibres, using material from pandanus or sago palms. Bilas often serve a simple purpose, to accentuate the movements in a dance. But some carry more weight socially. Tusks are a traditional sign of wealth. To afford the luxury of taking a pig's tusk to use as a necklace, the wearer is rich indeed. Lizards are also valued. Kundus would be silent without them. Often the legs of these reptiles are left to dangle around the top of a drum. Another creature plays a big role in this dance. Central performers hold models of fish, celebrating their importance as a staple food. Gifts from the Gogol River that helped sustain this village. The last stop in Madang province is Hobie Village, a few minutes' drive from Hailiku. The local chief gives a proud welcome.
My name is Joel Lalek. I'm from Hobie Village, and this is Hobie Village. In this village, I've got a total of 54 plus we are living here. I was born here and brought up here. And my grandfather and my father, they live here.
Every village in PNG has at least one feature that helps it stand apart from its neighbours. Hobie does so through its Botanical Gardens. To attract visitors and boost the village's income, Joel studied, then established this garden. Since 2004, Hobie's leafy endeavour has flourished. The size of 3 rugby fields, this colourful collection includes rare and exotic plants such as orchids. A blossoming garden, an innovative idea from a chief dedicated to see his village thrive for generations to come. Like any region of PNG, Momase is a rich blend. Its name reflects that. Momase is actually a portmanteau, a word that is a mixture. The mo in Momase comes from Morobe, the province south of Madang. It's been estimated that the people of Morobe speak 171 distinct languages, one originating here on the Tami Islands. This quartet of small islands lies about 13 kilometres off the Madang Peninsula, east of the provincial capital Leh. Only 2 of these islands are inhabited, Kalal and Wanam. Each has a village that faces its neighbour across a volcanic cove. This is Wanam. Though these islands are small, they are well known. Their chiefs permit regular visits from cruise ships. The Tami Islanders have much to share with foreigners. The dancers are ready. But first, the drummers need to warm up their kundus and tune them. The shady space under this large tree serves as a natural backstage area. While feathers are a big feature in many Papua New Guinean headdresses, Tami Islanders have something equally showy. Bright hibiscus flowers, a classic floral icon of Melanesia. The drummer's warm-up acts like a public announcement, telling the rest of the village it's showtime. In PNG, every dance belongs to someone, past or present, and the owner must always be consulted prior to a performance. The spirits have given their permission. This is an identifying dance, expressing who they are through song and movement. It's a little like a piece of folklore being acted out, telling the history of their settlement. The pigs' tusks clenched in their teeth are a symbol of wealth. The bigger they are, the more impressive the owner. The men holding spears represent the clan in charge of defending the island. Traditionally, those clansmen would have always had a weapon at the ready. These days, spears are only used for ceremonial reasons or on hunting trips on the mainland. Watching any musician play up close is fascinating. Every kundu has a character of its own. These hourglass-shaped artworks are carved from hollow trees or driftwood salvaged from the coastline. The bumps on the drum skins are blobs of wax, specifically placed to maintain tension in the head of the kundu to keep it in tune. After the display, guests have an opportunity to appreciate another traditional art form that the Tami Islands are famous for: intricately carved wooden bowls. These vessels have been part of bridal payments in this region for generations and continue to bring in a steady income for the Tami people via local trade and tourism. Being included on the itinerary of cruise liners gives the island's craftspeople the opportunity to sell other handmade items, such as shell necklaces, woven string bags or bilam, common throughout PNG, and grass skirts. These traditional garments, or lap-laps, are made from bush string, the vibrant colours being achieved using either natural or commercial dyes. One unusual visitor is getting the grand tour of Wanam, the village pet, a rescued baby bird. No doubt it will be lavished with attention until it is strong enough to fly away. The village markets give everyone involved a chance to interact. Exchange snippets of language, or simply share friendly smiles. It's a novelty to have a camera crew visit, and the chance to peer into the lens is irresistible. While the tourists enjoy the markets, the chefs from the visiting cruise ship are on a different mission, to buy fresh seafood. The fishing around Wanham has been good today. There is plenty to sustain the village, meaning any surplus catch can be sold for profit. This is not the only way the waters of the Tami Islands provide. They boast 4 atolls, circular coral reefs, a magnet for divers and snorkelers, the lagoon encircled by the islands is about 20 meters deep. It teems with marine life. There are a number of wrecks from World War II resting on the seafloor. These artificial reefs provide plenty of nooks and crannies for sea creatures to invade. The evening is drawing near. Large bats, known as flying foxes, head out on their nightly search for fruit, flowers, and nectar. As dusk approaches, the skies over Moorabbie province gradually fade, until darkness takes over. Daybreak. It brings the promise of new adventures here in East Sepik. This province is dominated by its namesake river. For over 1,000 kilometers, the Sepik snakes its way through mountains, rainforests, and wetlands. Thanks to the lack of development along its shores, it is believed to be the largest uncontaminated freshwater wetland in the Asia-Pacific region. Known as one of the great river systems of the world, its banks have been inhabited for millennia. The Sepik is presently thought to support 500,000 people. In an area similar in size to France, more than 200 tribes exist, speaking their own distinct languages. Locals rely heavily on the Sepik, primarily as a source of food. Barramundi are one of many species that swim these fresh waters. Above, another hunter searches for a meal. From its lofty position, this Brahmani kite will be able to quickly swoop on anything edible that catches its eye. These birds of prey are a common sight along the Sepik. Farther upstream, some youngsters strain bait fish from the shallows. This massive river also provides an obvious means of transport. The Sepik has many twists and turns. To cut down their travel time, locals maintain shortcuts. Shallow canals carved through swampy ground that allow them convenient access to their gardens and neighbours. Each village is responsible for their upkeep, trimming back vegetation or dredging them out to ensure these handy corridors stay open. Just south of where the Sepik empties into the Bismarck Sea lies Hobie Village. More than 300 people live in Hobie. The population being comprised of 7 clans, each group having their own parcel of land. Being in a flood-prone area, huts are built on stilts. While every clan has its own traditional men's house, Hobie has an extra one, used by all of the village men when preparing for tourist displays. With a group of visitors on their way, it is a hive of activity. Here is where the men prepare for Hobie's famous dragon dance. These days, a lot of men's houses and ceremonies in the Sepik region have become popular spectacles. Not in Hobie. This community has chosen to keep many of its ways secretive. They only started allowing tourists into their village in 2006. After careful consideration, the villagers decided their dragon dance was appropriate to be shared, as it is traditionally a cultural act that welcomes outsiders.
Ngomai. Ngomai. The name of that dragon is called Ngomai.
Our traditional name.
This spectacular dance mask is adorned with shells, bright leaves, and feathers from birds of paradise and chickens. The men have an interesting assortment of bilas to put on. Prized pig tusks are among these adornments. Some of the men have painted their skin with a natural red dye, made from achiote fruit seeds. The dragon is actually part of Ramu tradition, named after the river region southeast of the Sepik. Wattam village was settled by people from the Ramu Valley over 100 years ago, when their homelands became overpopulated. A garamut is struck. This pattern, or code of drum beats, is a message telling everyone to get ready. Their guests are almost here. Each of Wattam's clans has garamuts to communicate with their neighbours. Some are centuries old, going back 14 generations.
We can go closer and get some vegetables.
This is how Wattam greets foreigners to their shores. Being part of the welcoming committee is an exciting treat. Their song says they are from Wattam and invites strangers to come forward and be recognised as friend or foe. Now that these friendly outsiders have arrived, it is time for the dragon to emerge. As this mystical beast sets off through the village, a woman feeds it. The dragon serves as a medium between the real world and the spirit realm. To keep life in balance, each clan will make an offering to Gomai as it passes through their grounds. In this way, its journey unites all the clans. Another function of this traditional procession is to let the spirits know there are visitors about. It also clears a pathway into the village so it can be explored. Six dancers bring Gomai to life. Only the leader wearing the dragon mask can see, making trust an important part of this ceremony. The dragon has entered the next clan's territory. Another offering is made. By following this colourful monster into Watton, guests are allowed to observe life around the village. Something that would otherwise be forbidden, taboo. One talent these people are happy to share is basket weaving. To go from raw materials to the finished product takes several steps. Before they can be woven, the grassy bundles are pounded flat. Once beaten, a tool is used to stretch out the strands, to make them smooth before being stained. While traditional pigments are still used, store-bought dyes give the natural fibres a bright boost. When starting a new piece, toes come in handy to keep the strands taut. Basket patterns vary, each clan having their own distinctive designs. Once the basket is complete, straps are woven. Depending on the size of the basket, each lady can create 2 to 3 in a day. As in other parts of PNG, weaving is the handicraft of women. Wood carving is how initiated males express their artistic flair. Many of the carvings reveal the ancestry of the village. These are done in typical Ramu style. Masks from this district are usually ovoid in shape, tapering at the top and chin. Mouths are nearly always small, located low on the face. While impressive, these artworks are made for one purpose: the tourist trade. True ceremonial masks are not sold, as they represent the crossover between the real world and that of the spirits. Amongst the wares, freshly caught crabs are also on display. A few kina for a delicious meal, direct from the Sepik River. Food seems to be on everyone's mind.
Sago is our main food in Sepik, in East Sepik province. So that is how we get our food. We cut the sago with eggs, and then that part is very hard, and then that part inside is soft. So in that sago dust, we have sago inside it, but you cannot see it with your eyes. It's only dust.
It is men's work to hack into the fibrous core of the tree, and women's work to filter out the sago using a trough made from the trunk of a palm.
And then put the water inside, and then they mix it up. Mix it with their hands. And then the sago and the water will come out. So the sago is heavy, and the water will be at the top, and the sago lay inside there. We make pancakes, many different types.
Interesting to see how this important staple is extracted. Back on the village green, a PNG favourite is busy free-ranging. Known around the village as Bushman, this ball is a prized member of his owner's family, living proof of their wealth and prestige. Decorated in honor of today's visitors, he is a representation of all that is good here in Watton, in East Sepik, and the entire Momase region of Papua New Guinea.